Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, and welcome everybody. And as Tom just mentioned, we have changed the format a little bit as um, the coordinators did get a chance to get up and visit with you guys in front of the mic in previous times, but they're going to hang around as well as the rest of the assistant coaches should you have any questions that you want to direct to those guys. As most of you are aware of, we did start fall camp. Got off to a good start. I feel good about the attitude of the team and certainly the enthusiasm out there, the speed that they're running around and practicing, and so that all has been good for the first 4 or 5 days. Now, today's our first day of 2-a-days, and so obviously, as you continue to go without breaks, without giving them days off, you know, they wear down a little bit, but that's okay in the early part of fall camp because you want to push them hard right now, and then obviously as you get a little closer to your opening game, you start to back off a little bit. We had a little bit longer break than usual after those guys were here this summer. Most of them went to summer school. They had about 4 weeks off before fall camp started from the end of the summer session, and so they were at home a little bit longer than usual, and so as a coach you always worry about that, but they came back for the most part in very good shape, so that was pleasing to see, because obviously you're going to have problems if you have to work at getting your guys in shape during training camp versus putting in your offense, putting in your defense, and refining your skills. You know, we were picked at the MAC Media Day to finish ahead in our conference, winning our conference championship, not only the East Division but the championship, and that's great. You know, I think it's a real tribute to our football players, guys that have played here in the past, that have gotten the program to where it came from not really being recognized as a threat to win the conference to now being chosen to win the conference. I think it's also a tribute to our coaching staff, the guys that have done a great job. Our guys have done a great job of obviously coaching year in, year out. Most of these guys have been on the staff the entire time, although, as you know, we've had a few changes from year to year, usually averaging about one a year. We did have one change in terms of coordinatorship, and Brian Haynes is our new special teams coordinator. So all in all, we're looking forward to the season. Obviously, the players are also, the coaches are. Should be a very, very interesting season, and be challenging. Our non-conference games, I think, are challenging games. Obviously, Penn State opening up there will be a huge challenge. New Mexico State here, we beat them there last year, but they did play Utah State the last game of the season and actually were in the ball game and almost won it at the end. So they came along and played really good football towards the end of the season. Quarterback, a lot of guys coming back, so that'll be an interesting matchup here. And then Marshall has always been a game that is a rivalry between the two schools, and has always been a hard-fought physical contest, and I'm sure that will be another one. And then Norfolk State, if you watch them on film, they make you a little nervous. So it's certainly a challenging schedule. We're looking forward to it. And then obviously the MAC schedule, we've got a theme of unfinished business. You know, we've been able to get in the MAC championship game. We've not been able to win it. This past season, we were very, very close, but being close is not getting it done. And so obviously there's some goals out there yet that we have to reach. Any questions? Yeah. Well, if you look at my career, I've been involved with 4 different schools in over 40 years, and 2 of those schools were high schools. One of those high schools I was at for 11 years, was at Nebraska for a number of years, and then obviously 8 years here. So um, my whole goal as a coach has always been to do a great job day in, day out, and not to try to look too far down the road, and not to try to find a way to be at a school and then move on in a few years. I've always been a guy that has believed in building programs. My first 2 high school jobs was building a program. I had more fun doing that than I've ever had in coaching. And of course, this was a building program. And I feel very, very good about what the staff has accomplished during that time. And you know, we got more to do. And so I'm excited about being here. I'm excited about winning more football games and reaching more goals and moving this program forward to where we all want it to be. I think it's very open, and I really have felt that way every year since, excuse me, since we've been here, except we weren't in it in the first few years in terms of it being open and us being a legitimate contender. But I think there's an awful lot of legitimate contenders in the MAC. There isn't much that separates those teams at the very top of the conference from those teams at the bottom of the conference. And if you don't play your best football week after week in the MAC, you don't win football games, no matter if you're favored or not. And so it'll be extremely challenging for us, but we're going to make it extremely challenging for the other teams in the MAC too. So I think it'll be a great competitive year.
While it's passed since the spring, but are you still looking at the receiver spot as the number 1 area where you're going to have to look at it?
Yeah, I believe that will be critical to us on the offensive end of it, to have to be able to replace the receivers that we needed to replace. We had 4 guys that graduated last year that caught over 120 balls, and so that's a lot of big plays and a lot of catches to leave on the table. So someone's got to step up within our system in order to replace guys like Levon Brazil, Riley Dunlop, Jerry Groves, Phil Bates, and so there's a lot of openings there. I do like what our receivers have been about in the first 4 or so days of practice, and I think they're catching the ball much better than what we did in spring ball. I think they're blocking better, which is huge to me and to what we're all about offensively, and wanting to make sure that we're giving the running game an honest attempt. And so I think you know, it's more promising than what it was coming out of spring as to where we're at with receivers. Not only are there wideouts, but you know, our tight ends I think are really good pass receivers, and so we're able to build our tight ends into that mix a little more than what maybe some teams do. Well, it's difficult, and sometimes you just don't. You just hope that the guys that are playing at that position step up and play good football and are very consistent and don't make critical errors. But in saying that, I really like the talent that we have at Mike Backer. You know, Keith Moore is right now our starting Mike Backer, and he's got great speed for a linebacker. A smart linebacker. I love his physical toughness. He's a guy that can really play any of the linebacker spots. So, you know, that phase of it, I think we're going to have a very, very good player at the linebacker spot. Ben Russell's a young player that's coming along at the Mike Backer spot. Tim Edmond is also a young player that's coming a lot, and I always hate to start naming names because I usually leave out a guy or so. But anyway, we have I think a quality bunch of Mike Backers who will let us play very, very good football. And they're physical guys, and players respect that. And you know, they're getting to know what they're doing from the defensive standpoint, and players respect your knowledge of the game. And so to a degree, the leadership ability will be replaced. But Noah was so good at on the field, knowing other guys' positions and pointing things out and helping get organized. He was a great stability factor on the defensive standpoint. I like our overall leadership on our team. I think we have as many leaders this year as we've ever had. We established what we call a unity council, which is made up of 2 players from every position plus a kicker, and that it enables us to throw forward more guys with leadership ability and put that on their back and to develop more leaders within the program. So I like the direction that that's headed. Okay.
Whose idea was the leadership council or
Unity Council.
whose idea was
Yeah. Well, it's something that's been around for quite some time. We actually had it here when we first started, but then we started naming so many captains. You know, one year, a couple years, we had 7 that we really thought that maybe we would move away from the Unity Council. But it's something that we had at Nebraska, that Coach Osborne initiated into the program, and I think it can really serve a great purpose, because you know, it allows them to feel like they have some ownership in the program. They can bring anything to the table that they want to bring to it. It's not a coach that's running it, and so they're able to discuss a lot of things, and I want suggestions from them as in terms of what they think can be done better to help our program. And to be very honest with you, there are a lot of decisions as a head coach that it really doesn't make much difference which way you go on those decisions, but to the player, it means a lot. And obviously allowing them to make those kind of decisions is meaningful to those guys.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much.